Another travel day today. This time, though, we left the dogs at home, so it's just Carolyn and me. Oh, but not for long. We're headed to San Antonio to pick up some goats just as soon as we finish filling up the tank. Just finished picking up our first goat of the day. This is Chewy, and we just put some flakes down in the trailer. What? So fun.
He's jumping around in the back and shaking the entire truck.
He's not used to trailering, so he is a little upset right now. Plus he's all by himself, but we're gonna get a couple more goats so we can have some buddies in there. And when we get to, we're actually headed to San Marcos now to pick up the other ones, and when we get there, I'll explain a little more about what we're doing today. Need more fuel. Stopping in Buc-ee's, of course. This is not San Marcos. What was supposed to happen at this point in the video is I was going to record a little bit about why we were getting these goats and tell you some more information about them. However, when we got to Walmart, which was the place we were going to meet up with these other wonderful people who were giving us 2 of their goats, things got a little weird. And this is nothing to say that Walmart parking lots are bad or anything like that, because they're really great places for us to meet. We both had trailers, thought it would be, easy for us to maneuver, get in, exchange the goats, and go about our way. No big deal, no problem. However, Carolyn and I got there a little early, so we were just sitting there waiting for about 30, 45 minutes or so for the other couple to arrive. And I thought I would kind of display this in a more visual, appealing representation of kind of how the events unfolded. So our truck is this black Silverado here, a little more lifted than our version, but it's accurate. It's a Chevy, and then this little silver thing behind it, which is an armored car, is actually going to be portrayed as our trailer. So we kind of pulled in and parked towards the back of the parking lot and began waiting. And we were kind of talking about various things and kind of planning what the next few days were going to look like. And as we're sitting there, this brown SUV kind of drove past us, and I didn't think much about it. There's lots of cars in the parking lot, despite my representation here. There were probably about 40, 50 other cars, but we were parked way towards the back, and didn't think much about it. So the brown SUV kind of drives around behind us a little ways, and then is coming back, and as she goes by, she's kind of looking over her shoulder at us, and that's when I kind of look over and notice that she's clearly looking at us, and I don't know why. I usually kind of take the more, optimistic approach and think that, maybe she's looking for someone else with a trailer. She's meeting someone, thinks it might be us, but isn't quite sure. So didn't think much of it again. And she kind of drives forward and then parks in a parking spot. And, we go back to talking. A little bit later, I notice same car, brake lights come on, and she pulls forward to another aisle. And then it just seems odd. You get that feeling like something's a little off here. And that's what was happening in this situation. Like our little spidey senses were going off, like something isn't right with that vehicle. Don't know what's happening. And we begin to kind of pay attention. So she moves forward to the next aisle and parks again. And kind of watching. Eventually she gets out of the car and begins to kind of walk around the parking lot. It looks like she's looking at different vehicles. I'm like, is she looking to see if they're unlocked? What's her objective here? She's clearly not going into the store. Hasn't been into the store the entire time we've been sitting here. But she's kind of walking around. It looks like she stops at one car, but then keeps going. There's another little couple that's standing next to their vehicle, and she walks right by them. Doesn't engage in any conversation. Thinking like, oh, maybe she's, someone who's asking for money or something like that. That doesn't happen. And then eventually she gets back into her car and is sitting there. A little more time goes by, and she backs up and again drives by our truck again. And she's looking at us, we're looking at her. I don't know what's going on. And she kind of circles back around and parks. This time kind of facing more towards the front of our truck. And we're waiting there, watching still. And she keeps looking over her shoulder again. This time more at the storefront, kind of at the door, kind of back that way for a little while. And I could tell she's on her phone a little bit, and then she kind of looked back. And then another car that I had not noticed before. It's a white van, turns on its headlights, and it starts driving towards us. Again, we are at the back of the parking lot. There is no one around. And this white van comes by fairly close to our truck. And there's 3 guys in it, and all 3 of the guys are looking at us. And we're again looking at them. And they kind of drive by, but it's not like I'm driving by to exit the parking lot, because the exit isn't, you wouldn't take this route. But they're driving by looking at us, and I'm like, what is going on? And really slowly like, very creepy like. And they kind of go around behind us, and then eventually circle around and head to the exit of the parking lot. And that was really odd. I'm like, what is going on in this parking lot? And at that point, we were already considering moving to a different location, because now the people we're meeting are coming. They're pretty close at this point, but the consideration to move the location was very, very high. And at that point, another truck and trailer pulled into the parking lot. So I'm like, oh wait, and it's the same thing. They had a white trailer, maybe. Here we are, and immediately the woman in the brown SUV turns on her car, and she goes to drive. But instead of going to the trailer, she again pulls right behind ours, real close this time. And then she drives over to the other trailer, and then flips around and parks. And I thought, like, maybe for an instant, okay, she was looking for someone with the trailer. Here's the person they're meeting. Again, I was wrong. So she's now facing our direction again. And I look at Carolyn and I'm like, I need to look at the trailer, because she drove real close, like within, I don't know, a foot of our back trailer. I don't know if she put something in the trailer, threw something in there, was kind of scoping it out. I'm not really sure. I want to go look and see before these people get here, because they're only about 5 minutes away. So I get out, walk to the back of the trailer, and open it up, and I'm looking. I don't see anything. Nothing suspicious is going on. Check things out. The Chewy's doing just fine. He's in there hanging out, outside of being upset that he's in there by himself. And I shut the trailer, and I go to turn around, and you'll never guess who's right behind me. Yes, the woman in the brown SUV. Carolyn would later tell me, the moment I exited the truck and shut the door, her lights came on and she started moving forward. So clearly, she's interested in us. Don't know why. And so she's now behind me as I turn, still in her car though, and she rolls down the window and says, where are y'all headed? And had I not noticed all of this activity prior to this, that seems like a pretty innocent question. You know, I mean, we're country people. This is kind of a smaller city, San Marcos. It's not huge. And people sometimes, you know, just want to talk to you. That's not uncommon. But because we witnessed all this strangeness before, and now this lady's asking me where y'all headed, I'm full alert at this point. And I'm like, you know, my response initially, again, is always to diffuse the situation. So I say, well, we're headed far from here. And you think, you know, most people, you know, that's kind of the end of that, move on. And instead she says, yeah, but where? And I'm looking back at her like, what? Why do you care? Who is this? What is your, what's going on? And instead of asking all those questions, and I say, well, why do you want to know? And she kind of looks surprised, like, why, who am I to ask these questions of her? And she says, well, I'm just trying to get out of town. And I look back and I say, well, good luck with that. And then I get back in my truck and shut the door. And she kind of looks a little angrily at me. And finally, she drives off and exits the parking lot as well, never to be seen again by us anyway. And just a few short moments later, the other couple arrives. We're able to exchange the goats. Everything's fine. And we get back on the road again. It was bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. I don't know, you know, I feel like those two, the van and the SUV, were in some sort of cahoots together. I suspect because we were parked so far back, they were waiting till we went into the store to either look in our trailer or look in our truck and see if we had anything they could take. Or maybe they were looking to take our catalytic converter, because that's a big thing right now. I don't know. The whole thing was suspicious. And I just wanted to share that with you, just to say I don't give a lot of advice here, but always be aware of your surroundings. I have no idea what could have happened in that situation had we not been aware and paying attention to what's going around us. So just check things out. We're fine. We're back home now. The goats are fine. No issues there. But that was weird. Made it back to the ranch, and we're gonna get these guys settled in. They're gonna stay in the trailer tonight, and then tomorrow we'll let them out. We always find it easier for them to adjust in the daylight instead of letting them out in the dark, since they're in a new environment where they wouldn't know what's going on here in their new home. It is a little bit late. Quite the drive. I'm going to give them some feed and water, and we'll see you tomorrow.